Now what? Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's like I'm seeing you for the first time, because I can't see that well, obviously, so this is cool. You're like a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Do you see any light?
I see the lights behind you, if you're talking about like energies and such.
Yeah.
Perhaps? I don't know, I can't really tell. It's like maybe a white haze. But
That's it.
yeah, okay.
A foggy mist.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in or maybe I'm not in a relationship anymore. It's kind of up in the air since last night. And it's just kind of interesting. Right before I came up here, it was just a quick phone call with my maybe partner, not partner. And it was just such a clear, striking kind of conversation of like the kind of disconnect that we encounter in our relationship in like the clearest way possible. Basically, it's someone I met 4 years ago, and it felt very much like like we attracted each other. We were both familiar with this work. She was actually a little more into it than I was. I was into other spiritual stuff. And, but even from then, even from the beginning, I could never it was difficult for me to come to any kind of sense of clarity like you're the one I want to be with. It was always very like, I'm just not sure, and I could feel one way and another way as the minutes passed, and it was just a very kind of uprooting time for me, and there's a lot of growth that happened and a lot of sharing and stuff.
We're going to interrupt you, and you can interrupt us too if you want to. Yes. At any point. But the reason that we want to interrupt you is because we want to say to you, to everyone, that most relationships, personal and otherwise, are like that for most of you. We're going to say something really strong about something that may be obvious to you all and may not be, but it's something that so many humans do. They have a sort of wait and see attitude, or I wonder if it's meant to be attitude, or let's see how this works out kind of thing. And we've been advocates of that to some extent. We don't think it's a good idea to jump into anything suddenly. But after 4 years together, it's a good thing to just make a decision and then line up with the decision. Creating is not so much about just walking around and waiting for things to turn up. Deliberate creation is about walking around, getting awareness of what's around you, making your choices, and then becoming a vibrational match to your choices, and then enjoying the culminating, the clarifying, the coming together of the parts. A decision brings clarity, and indecision always brings confusion. And what indecision is about yes and no and yes and no and yes and no and yes and no. And what clarity is about yes and yes and yes and yes and yes and yes and yes. So a good relationship, and we're saying this to you in a powerful way, this relationship that you're talking about has the possibility, probability, certainty. In other words, we can feel a very strong vibrational to be a dynamic, fantastic, eternally satisfying experience for both of you. But you've got to make a decision and line up with it. And what's going on with each of you is you're waiting for the evidence of the other one's decision rather than either one of you individually making that determination. We would like to say to everyone in every relationship, don't wait around for the other one to make the commitment. You decide if this is something that you want, line up with it, and make lists of positive aspects all day, every day, until you are completely calibrated with your desire. Because when you are completely calibrated with your desire, your bag of marbles contains a vibration that is offering, that's got enough momentum. The probability, possibility, probability, really certainty of evoking that from the other is off the charts. What is the insecurity that makes you not decide?
I believe that I have decided in the past, and
then what?
What happens is basically I do what you just said.
Yeah.
Let's say a year ago I started listening to your talks about relationships,
yeah.
and you shared something along those lines.
Yeah. We're stubborn that way.
Yeah, and it was quite helpful. It was a different approach than what I was used to working with negativity and stuff.
And then what happened?
What happened was, it just seems almost impossible that the kinds of things that I actually want to experience in a relationship, I can bring forth from her.
Well, the thing is,
it's just not happening, minutely maybe.
Here's what does happen, and maybe it's not the right thing. We're not trying to talk you in or out of anything, but this we know for sure. If you focus upon the aspects that are a match for you, and you let that be the basis of the vibration that you're offering, other matches join that. But if you are aware of matches and mismatches and matches and mismatches and matches and mismatches, then it isn't what the other one is doing in terms of matching, it's that you're not matching your own desire. Look at it this way. It's like here you are with a set of thoughts that you think on a regular basis. And some of them are about the wonderfulness of the way the two of you are getting along, and some of them are about the concerns you have in the areas that you're not getting along. So you've got this mixed bag and you're attracting some of all of it. But let's say that you clarify your position because you want to feel good, not because you're trying to manipulate somebody, not because you're trying to make something happen, but because you have an inner being who is fixated on the positive aspects of this person. So you decide to calibrate to your inner being who is fixated on the positive aspects of this person. Not just positive aspects in general, positive aspects that you have specifically picked out as you've moved through life and as you've moved through this relationship and others. Your inner being really is contouring to those things that you care about. So if you calibrate to your inner being who is in a place of certainty, then there's no mixed vibration going on within you, and your point of attraction is very powerful, which means your win-win is much more likely.
I just feel like it's almost impossible for me to get to that place now with a relationship, that place of certainty.
That's because you're letting what you're witnessing be your point of calibration rather than what you desire. In other words, if you said to us, I've had enough, I don't want it anymore, we would say, we do not believe you.
Yeah, I don't really say that personally. I don't feel that way.
What do you say about the relationship? I want it, I don't want it. Pick one, just for fun.
Okay. I want it.
I want it. No qualification. Not I want it under these terms. I want it. Are you willing to play the game a little bit more with us about this?
I can. I did maybe want to kind of share some specifics of what happened.
We're happy to listen to you.
Yeah. What happened, so going back to, I started listening to this kind of idea from you, and it's basically felt like maybe a little over a year is like I'm really doing everything I can to be, non-reactive.
Almost everyone in the room would say that, including Esther. I'm doing all I can do. And our answer to all of you is, you're doing all you can do from where you stand. Your path of least resistance is resistance-free as you can allow it to be so far. But as what you want doesn't happen suddenly, or maybe even gradually enough for you over 4 years, your clarification gets stronger and stronger, and your ability to be more precise in what you attract does too. In a very general way, we would like to say this: your desires are eternal. Your desires are eternal. Relationships are eternal. You can decide that this is too hard, but don't blame it on what the other person is or is not doing. Let it be about your ability to clarify. And if you're saying to us, it is impossible for me to hold the thought of what I want given what I'm observing, then we say, most people are very conditional in the way they feel. If they're looking around and seeing what they want to see, they feel better than if they're seeing what they don't. But creation isn't about taking score of the evidence. Creation is about making a decision and then lining up with that decision. A lot. So I see that and I didn't like it. So I pick up the stick that has what I want on one end and the absence of it on the other, but the absence end of the stick is what's active right now for me. But at the same time, the whole stick became active, and my inner being is all over the other end of it. My inner being who has no split energy. My inner being who the law of attraction is responding to too. Now, the question that we want to put to you, we'll tell you the answer. Whose stick is this? Yours. Who gave birth to this stick? You did. Who's working on this stick? You and your inner being. You on one end, your inner being on the other. When you move in the direction of the other end of the stick, you feel relief immediately. You begin to feel progress immediately. So, you've set it in motion. But you're stubborn, most of you are. And you're also observant, most of you are. And you're also defensive, most of you are. And so, even though your inner being is focused on what you want, and like the seed in the ground, it's becoming, it's gestating, it's in the process of becoming, it's going to be a full manifestation that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. But there is a buffer of time between the time you gave birth to it and the time you adjust your vibration to receive it fully into your experience. And that's what we want to talk about all day, every day. How long does it take to start trusting and believing instead of doubting and defending? That happy life that you were talking about, that we are in complete agreement with, which is the name of the game, that happy life isn't about getting all the way to the manifestation of it. It's being on the way to the manifestation of it, because you're going to keep intending more and more and more and more and more. And so the happiness has to be for you that I'm moving in the direction of it, not that I already got there, because I know what I don't want, I know what I do want, but I know more what I don't want than what I do want, so it takes a long time. But then I listen to some Abraham cassettes and CDs and whatever is happening, or anyone. There's so much wisdom coming from so many. And I finally line up with what I want, and I close that gap so that I'm no longer in a resistant vibration to what I want, but instead I'm a vibrational match to what my inner being knows about me. And when that comes together, boom, manifestation into my experience. Oh, it feels so good for a minute. Esther says, Jerry, buy me a new car. It will make me happy for the afternoon. And so there you are. You feel better. And right away, you got what you wanted, but you also got a whole new set of contrasting experiences. So again, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So we want you to settle into the important perfection of the sifting. It's good that you know what you don't want. This is the molding of the clay. It's good that there is light and absence of it. That's why you're able to see anything. You mold the clay, but once this life has helped you know what you want, you got to turn in the direction of that, because that's where your inner being has been from the moment you gave the first little piece of it. And if you do anything else, if you do anything less than that, oh sure, you said it all to us. You gave us the answer to everything when you said, I'm not worried about death. I just don't want that sucky part on the way up to it. Well, you know why you're not worried about death? Because you know, you've accepted that when you reemerge into that, there'll be no resistance. You'll be in full vibrational alignment with your inner being. So what you're basically saying is, I have to die to be in full vibrational alignment with my inner being, because I'm not going to use my guidance system to get me there. And that's the sucky part. That's the creation by default part. That's the not using my guidance system part. That's the accepting things that are not true, and that's why it feels so bad part. So when you get it, that I can feel as good as I decide to feel, and then you have unpleasant experiences and you think, what was that all about? And then you think, oh yeah, I didn't step into the field of attraction.